Imagine you are standing on a track, chest heaving, throat burning like fire, and your legs feeling as heavy as wet cement. Next to you stands someone who barely seems to be breathing, looking like they were born to run. We are taught that this person is a natural, that their genetics decided their victory before the starting gun ever fired. We look at their smooth stride and feel a sinking sensation in our stomach, a quiet whisper telling us to step off the track because we simply do not have the gift. But this is a carefully constructed illusion. The reality is that our obsession with natural talent is actually a shield for our own egos. When we attribute success entirely to an innate spark, we give ourselves permission to relax, to stay on the couch, and to quit when the work gets painful. If genius is a genetic lottery, then our failure to achieve is not our fault. The truth is far more uncomfortable, far grittier, and ultimately far more liberating. The secret to outstanding achievement is not the hand you were dealt, but how long you are willing to stay on the track when every muscle in your body is screaming at you to stop. Module 1. The Natural Talent Trap. We live in a culture that explicitly praises hard work, but implicitly worships raw talent. Think of the student who stays up until 3 in the morning, eyes bloodshot, drinking cold coffee, only to receive a lower grade than the classmate who claims they barely studied. We look at the classmate with a mix of envy and awe, labeling them a genius. This bias runs deeper than we care to admit. Psychologist Chia-Jung Tsai conducted a study focusing on professional musicians and music experts. She presented these experts with identical audio clips of musical performances. However, she labeled one clip as belonging to a natural prodigy and the other as belonging to a hard-working striver who had practiced for years. Despite the experts claiming they valued hard work above all else, the results were staggering. They overwhelmingly rated the natural as superior, expressing a clear preference to invest in and hire the individual they believed was born with the talent. We say we value the struggle, but we secretly fall in love with the ease of natural ability. This trap has a devastating physical manifestation. When we believe talent is the sole driver of success, we experience a tightening in our chest and a cold sweat whenever we face a barrier. We view our struggle not as a sign of growth, but as proof of our inadequacy. We stare at a blank page or a complex math problem or a business plan that just went bust, and we freeze. Our hands shake, our throat goes dry, and we walk away, convinced that we do not have the right DNA. The solution to this trap lies in a famous study conducted at the United States Military Academy at West Point. Admission to West Point is incredibly competitive. Out of more than 14,000 applicants, only about 1,200 are admitted. These candidates have stellar high school ranks, exceptional SAT scores, and physical fitness levels that rival top-tier athletes. Yet, when they arrive for their first summer of training, known as Beast Barracks, a significant portion of them pack their bags and quit. For decades, military leaders used a complex formula called the whole candidate score to predict who would survive the grueling physical and mental demands of the academy. This score weighted academic performance, physical aptitude, and leadership potential. But when the heat rose and the cadets were forced to wake up at 5 in the morning, march in heavy gear, and endure non-stop psychological pressure, the whole candidate score failed to predict who would stay and who would leave. Angela Duckworth wanted to solve this mystery. She developed a simple 10-question test called the Grit Scale, which measured 2 key qualities, passion and perseverance. When she administered this scale to the incoming cadets, she discovered something remarkable. The grittiest cadets were the ones who made it through the summer, while their SAT scores, athletic achievements, and whole candidate scores had no predictive value for their survival. Talent did not guarantee that a cadet would show up for roll call the next morning. This means that while talent is real, it does not determine your ultimate destination. Your grit does. But how does this play out in the physical world? How does effort translate into real-world achievement? And is there a way to calculate its impact? The math behind this transformation reveals exactly why the hard worker eventually laps the naturally gifted runner who relies on talent alone. Module 2. The double count of effort. We often watch a master craftsman, a virtuoso violinist, or a legendary coder work with effortless grace, and we assume they always possessed that skill. We do not see the years of fumbling, the thousands of hours of frustration, and the pile of discarded failed attempts. This lack of visibility leads us to make a fundamental error in how we view progress. When we try to learn a new skill, we often experience a sharp rise in frustration. Our fingers refuse to coordinate on the piano keys, our code returns error after error, or our written sentences read like a middle school essay. We feel a heavy knot in our stomach, our breathing becomes shallow, and we feel a deep urge to close our laptop or put down the instrument. We tell ourselves that we are just not wired for this, and we stop. Duckworth demystifies this process by breaking achievement down into two simple equations. First, talent multiplied by effort equals skill. Second, skill multiplied by effort equals achievement. Let us look closely at these equations. Notice which variable appears in both formulas. It is effort. This means that effort is not just a factor in success, it counts twice. To see this in action, let us compare two people. A naturally talented individual and a hard worker. Let us assign them numbers to make the concept clear. Imagine talent is rated on a scale from 1 to 10. Person A is highly talented, with a talent score of 8. But they are lazy. They put in only 1 unit of effort. Person B is less naturally gifted, with a talent score of 4. However, they are gritty. They put in 4 units of effort. If we apply the first equation, talent multiplied by effort equals skill. Person A, 8 multiplied by 1 equals 8. They have a skill level of 8. Person B, 4 multiplied by 4 equals 16. Despite having half the natural talent, person B has built a skill level of 16. Now look at the second equation. Skill multiplied by effort equals achievement. This is where the magic happens. Person A, still coasting, applies only 1 unit of effort to their skill of 8. 8 multiplied by 1 equals 8. Their achievement is 8. Person B applies another 4 units of effort to their skill of 16. 16 multiplied by 4 equals 64. Their achievement is 64. Person B has achieved 8 times more than person A. This is the mathematical reality of grit. Talent is simply how fast your skills improve when you invest effort. Achievement is what happens when you take those skills and use them. If you have all the talent in the world but do not put in the effort, your talent remains a dormant engine. Your skills never develop, and you never produce anything of value. The physical toll of this math requires us to endure the awkward, clumsy phase of learning. It means sitting at the desk when our brain is tired, writing the next line of code when our eyes are watering, or practicing the same scale when our fingertips are tender. Effort is the constant multiplier that turns raw potential into tangible results. But simply working hard is not a complete solution. If you spend 10,000 hours doing the exact same easy tasks, you will not improve. You will merely cement your current plateau. To turn effort into true excellence, you must learn the precise way world-class performers push past their limits, a method that is far more painful than ordinary practice. Module 3. Interest and deliberate practice. Most people believe that practice makes perfect. They assume that if they show up to their job every day for 10 years or play tennis every weekend for a decade, they will naturally become experts. But this is not how expertise works. Think of a person who has driven a car for 20 years. They are likely not a professional race car driver. They have merely reached a level of acceptable competence and stayed there, driving on autopilot. When we practice on autopilot, our brain disengages. We do not feel the tension of growth because we are staying comfortable. When we try to improve but find ourselves stuck at a plateau, we experience a quiet desperation. We show up, we do the work, but our results remain flat. We feel a dull ache of boredom, and we begin to wonder if we have reached our genetic ceiling. This is the moment most people quit, believing they have gone as far as their talent allows. The solution is a specific, intense method of training called deliberate practice, a concept pioneered by psychologist Anders Ericsson. Deliberate practice is not fun. In fact, world-class performers often describe it as exhausting and deeply uncomfortable. Consider the Scripps National Spelling Bee, a contest where children memorize tens of thousands of obscure words. Duckworth studied these competitors and found that the grittiest spellers did not spend their time reading storybooks or playing fun spelling games. Instead, they engaged in deliberate practice. They sat alone in quiet rooms, staring at lists of words they had previously misspelled. They analyzed Latin, Greek, and French roots, forcing their brains to build complex mental maps. Their heads throbbed, their shoulders tensed, and they experienced the frustration of getting word after word wrong. But they did not stop. They leaned into their mistakes, corrected them, and repeated the process for hours every single day. Deliberate practice has 4 distinct physical steps. First, you must set a highly specific stretch goal. This is not a vague desire to get better. It is a precise target, like mastering a specific difficult passage of music or improving your coding speed on a particular algorithm by 10%. Second, you must apply full concentration and effort. This means turning off your phone, closing all background tabs, and focusing entirely on the task. It requires a level of mental strain that makes your forehead sweat and your brain feel tired after just an hour. Third, you must seek immediate and informative feedback. You need to know exactly where you failed. This is why top athletes hire coaches who do not praise them, but instead point out every microscopic flaw in their form. You must look at your errors with clinical detachment, ignoring the sting to your ego. Fourth, you must repeat the cycle with reflection and refinement. You do not just repeat the mistake. You adjust your strategy, try again, and continue drilling your weakness until it becomes a strength. This level of practice is physically and mentally taxing. Nobody can endure it without a powerful burning reason to keep going. But how do you find that reason? How do you maintain this grueling pace over months, years, and decades without burning out? The answer lies in how you organize your daily struggles against a single, unshakable life compass. Module 4. Finding your ultimate goal. We often feel pulled in 1,000 different directions. We want to build a business, write a novel, learn a language, stay in peak physical shape, and be a perfect parent. We wake up with a long list of tasks, our jaw clenched with stress, our eyes scanning the screen as we try to do everything at once. By the end of the day, we are exhausted, yet we feel a hollow sensation in our chest because we have made no real progress on any front. We have scattered our energy like a sprinkler, watering a wide area but creating no deep pools of achievement. This lack of focus is not a time management problem, it is a goal alignment problem. When we try to chase too many conflicting goals, we experience a constant state of internal friction. Our minds are noisy, our sleep is fitful, and we carry a perpetual weight of guilt because every hour spent on one task is an hour stolen from another. We feel like we are spinning our wheels in the mud, sinking deeper with every turn. To cure this paralysis, Duckworth suggests organizing your life into a clear goal hierarchy. Imagine a pyramid with 3 distinct tiers. At the very bottom of the pyramid are your low-level goals. These are your daily, concrete tasks, like answering emails, attending meetings, writing 500 words, or going to the gym. These goals are not ends in themselves. They are merely the means to an end. In the middle of the pyramid are your mid-level goals. These are larger milestones that connect your daily tasks to your highest ambition. For example, finishing a project, launching a product, or passing a professional exam. At the very top of the pyramid is your single, ultimate goal, which Duckworth calls your ultimate concern. This is your compass. It is the organizing principle of your entire life. For Angela Duckworth, her ultimate goal is to use psychological science to help children thrive. Every single mid-level and low-level goal in her life must serve this top-level ambition. Gritty people have a beautifully aligned hierarchy. They do not waste energy on tasks that do not connect to their ultimate concern. If a low-level goal fails, such as a specific workshop getting cancelled or a project getting rejected, they do not experience a crisis of identity. They simply recognize that the low-level goal was just one route to their destination. They quickly discard it and design a new daily task that still leads toward their ultimate goal. If you do not have a clear ultimate goal, your low-level goals will drift. You will find yourself working hard on things that do not matter to you, leading to burnout and frustration. Passion is not a sudden, wild emotion. It is the consistency of your ultimate goal over a very long period. But even with a perfect hierarchy, you will eventually hit a wall. You will face a devastating failure that makes your ultimate goal seem completely out of reach. When the bank account runs dry or the critical reviews roll in, how do you prevent your mind from shutting down and giving up on your life's work? Module 5. Growing Grit from the Inside Out. There is a moment in every long journey where the path turns pitch black. You have put in the effort, you have practiced deliberately, you have aligned your goals, and yet you still fail. You feel a physical heaviness in your chest, a cold weight that makes it hard to breathe. Your stomach drops, your palms go clampy, and a loud, persistent voice in your head tells you that you are a fool for trying. This is the moment of maximum danger. This is where your brain attempts to protect you from future pain by convincing you that you are fundamentally incapable of success. This reaction is the hallmark of a fixed mindset, a concept pioneered by psychologist Carol Dweck. When we possess a fixed mindset, we believe our talent and intelligence are set in stone. We view failure not as a temporary setback, but as a permanent verdict on our identity. We think, I failed, therefore I'm a failure. This mindset paralyzes our ability to take action, keeping us locked in a state of passive despair. The antidote to this paralysis is the combination of hope and a growth mindset. Gritty hope is entirely different from passive wishing. It is not the belief that tomorrow will magically get better on its own. Instead, gritty hope is the deep, active conviction that your own efforts today can change your tomorrow. To cultivate this hope, you must change how you speak to yourself in the aftermath of a defeat. When a project fails, a fixed mindset says, I ruined this because I am not smart enough. A growth mindset, however, says, I did not get the result I wanted because I used the wrong strategy, but I can learn how to fix it next time. This shift in language changes your physical response. Your breathing slows, your shoulders straighten, and your hands stop shaking. You stop viewing your brain as a static computer and start viewing it as a muscle that grows stronger with every heavy lift. When you adopt a growth mindset, you look at setbacks as information, not as the identity. You realize that the pain of failure is simply the physical sensation of your brain, adapting, learning, and expanding its limits. You dust yourself off, pick up your tools, and step back onto the track, ready to run the next lap. If you are ready to stop letting temporary failures dictate your potential, you need to understand how seeking discomfort can actually accelerate your progress. Click on the video on your screen about The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter to discover how embracing hard things can fully unlock your hidden potential right now. Your potential is not a static limit, but a starting line that you must actively push past every single day. If you are ready to stop retreating when life gets hard, click on the video on your screen about The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter to discover why seeking discomfort is the ultimate secret to unlocking your grit.